In this video, I'm going to show you how to set up a basic BlueJ application. But first, like with every single project, you have to design your application. In chapter 3, you learned about UML. So before you start coding, you need to design your application. So in this particular case, we're going to turn Hello World application into an object-oriented application by creating a Hello World class, and we're going to demonstrate the usage of this Hello World class with a Hello World demo application. So we're using DIA to design the Hello World class. And in this class, we're going to have a constructor and we're going to have one single method. DIA makes it really easy to create the UML and design your application properly. The type of a method, in this case, is string, because string will be returned from the getMessage method, which will return the MSG attribute from the Hello World application or Hello World object. So after you have the UML created, you also need to design the method logic. Now those gonna be, most of the time, gonna be very simple method logics because we really wanna focus on object-oriented programming. But in this particular case, you can see that I'm designing the constructor's logic. But the constructor is not going to do anything. It's just going to assign Hello World to the MSG attribute. Now we have to clearly define the starting and the ending point of your flowchart, your structured logic, and we need to show the direction of execution. And make sure that you format your design properly so it looks nice. Now we need to design the logic for the getMessage method. Now I don't want to start brand new, so what I did is I held down the shift key and clicked on every single one of the object in the flowchart for the constructor, and I copied and pasted the same flowchart. So now, attaching it to the actual getMessage method, I can just edit it, remove what I don't need, and modify what I do need. So in this case, instead of the stop terminal symbol, I'm just saying return MSG, because that's what the method is going to do, and it doesn't do anything else. So it makes it much simpler if you copy paste some portions of the UML or your flowchart. So let's design the UML for the Hello World demo. Now Hello World demo not going to have any attributes, but it will have at least one single method, and that one method going to be main. The main type is void, and it does have an argument or a parameter, which is a string array, and that's all it has. So most of your methods will, or most of your assignments that require you to create a class to demonstrate your other classes will have this demo application with just one single main method. And again, I just pasted the basic flowchart from the Hello World application just to speed up the process. So what we're going to do in the demo application is we're going to instantiate an instance of Hello World, and we're going to call it my message. And after we created the instance, then we have to display the message. So that will require a parallelogram, and we're gonna output the message that our getMessage method will return. Reconnect the components of the flowchart, and we are done with the main method. Adjust it a little bit so it looks nicer. And now we just need to establish the using relationship. So our application is going to instantiate Hello World. That means our application, the demo application, is using Hello World. So for that, we have the dotted line with the open arrowhead. So we can start implementing the code. So in BlueJ, you start a new project, and then you start creating the classes. And when you have your design, try to layer your windows so you can see the design, and you can also see your code. If you have two monitors, that would be good to display your design on one of the monitor and write the code on the other. Okay, so you can see that BlueJ gives you a very nice template, starts you out nicely with an application. So make sure that you use the Java docs with the documentation tags to take credit for the application or any of the classes, and then we're gonna have to do that for every single one of the methods that we will write. So in this case, we just need to establish that we do have a private attribute, and that private attribute is a string, and it is called message. And now we are creating a constructor. The constructor has just one single line where we set the message to Hello World, and that's all we do. And you can see it, these steps are already in the flowchart in our design. So if you have a design, programming becomes very simple because you just follow, you just read the design and write the code based on what the design is. So now we have the getMessage method that will return a string, and we also made that public, and it will return message. That's all it does. Do your documentation, the Java documentation for every single method, including the constructor. Give it a meaningful description. Don't be too wordy. Shorter your sentences are, better it is. If you describe everything about that particular method, and then include the tags. Right? So if you have parameters, if you have return values, or if you throw some kind of exception, we'll learn later on what an exception is. Okay, so the getMessage does not have any parameters, but it will have a return value. Now, when you're talking about the return value, you're not talking about the variable name that you're returning. You need to describe what is it that you return. And it does not throw anything. Compile it and make sure that you look at the error messages so you get comfortable with your own compiler. Even if you don't want to use BlueJ, you use another IDE, you should be familiar with the error messages and how you correct those messages. So now we need to demonstrate how Hello World works. In order to do that, we create a Hello World demo application. Make sure that you have the description, and also make sure that you change and modify the tags to reflect the state of your code, and also to take ownership of your code. Okay, the rest of them is just what BlueJ typed in for us as a template. We get rid of that, and then we start writing the application. So this is the line when we actually instantiate an object. We create a new instance out of Hello World. Now after we have the object itself, now we can call method getMessage from the object that we have previously created. And that object is pointed to by my message identifier, that is a Hello World type. And that's all we do, as you can see in the actual design. So when you're done, just run the application, make sure that it runs, and you can see that the BlueJ also shows you the relationship between the objects, and it will display Hello World to you. Now, in most cases, and as you are learning more about Java and programming, you're gonna see it is a large or a very helpful aspect of an IDE is to use its debugger. You can see that you can put the red dot, a breakpoint on any one of the lines, and then you can see what's in any one of the objects that you create in your code. So play with the debugger a little bit too. Okay, so every time you start a new chapter and you try to learn about a new chapter, you start a project and then you import source code that relates to one of your chapters. Now make sure that you extract the files. So you make sure that when you download the source code files, they're coming in a zip format, and then you right click and you extract all. After you extracted all the files, then you can import those files into BlueJ. Now when you import it, do not double click on the folder, just single click and then say insert, or click on insert, and then it will import all the classes related within that folder. Now you can also drag and drop classes individually very simply with your GUI interface. I hope it was helpful, and see you next time.